propagation now. How do we get our onions to be onions? All right, onions can be propagated in various ways. A lot of people in Barbados tend to propagate via seeds. That's the way that we know it, that's the old-fashioned way. But then we have propagation via transplants and propagation via sets. Sets are not normally known, but it's good to know about them. They're not normally done in Barbados, but it's something that you can always look into if you're looking to have faster growth or different varieties. You can always look into it, all right? But normally in Barbados, we have been propagating via seeds for ages. An onion set, really, they are small, mature bulbs, dried, and that have been grown the previous year. They are stored until you are ready to plant them. So basically, they are put into the dormant stage, which is the put them to sleep stage, and left there until you're ready to plant them out. They've been grown a year in front. All right, so you sort of got a head start with a set. As I said, I'm not telling you which one to use. Use the one that works best for you, okay, or is more available to you, okay? So it's not to say that I can't get sets, so I'm planting onions. You can get seeds, and you can also do transplants. All right, so when you're selecting your seed now, because sets also grow from seeds, just in case. Everything comes from a seed. Seeds should be obtained from a reliable seed company. All right? You can look around, you can go online, but they should be reliable. Only good quality seeds should be used. How are you going to know this? Seeds should be fresh. How are you going to know this? You're looking at expiration date. All right? Germination percentage should be checked before planting. How do you do this? All right? And once you have a good germination percentage, which should be 80 and above or slightly below, if you want to go that way, then you should be okay. We'll get into what that is in a couple minutes. Commercially available seeds are normally treated with fungicidal dressings, and this is important too. Now, when we're talking about seeds should be fresh, seeds should be of good quality, this is all determined by the germination test. Most packages or cans will state germination tested to X percentage, more likely 80 or more, but you yourself can actually do your own germination test. How do you do that? Germination test is literally from your pack, and I say big packs because you're not planting just a little spot of land, a little small area. You can take at least 100 seeds and put them in a moist area, like what we did in primary school when we did that tissue test. Put them in a moist area on tissue and watch them for the rest of the days to see how they're going to be sprouting up. Normally with onions, it takes, depending on the variety, 7 to approximately 15 days to actually germinate. But in the test, you should start to see movement because obviously they're not under soil. You can see movement in terms of germination, and that should allow you to know how much of your seeds should actually look to sprout or germinate. Once you do the 100, you can count them. Let's say you count and you see 75, 80, 90, or all of them sprouted, then you know you will have a good germination. So what this allows you to do too is not just to plant your seeds out there and then when my season come up, I buy these Frank Carters. Them ain't working. Them ain't good. You've done your test already, so you automatically know my seeds should be working, and they will come up. So you've not wasted your time, or the seeds haven't wasted your time. All right? The fungicide, all seeds should be actually, this is normal by now, I would hope, but all seeds should have been treated before. And obviously from fungicidal, it means in terms of any fungus, etc., that might be damaging to your crop later on. All right? So in propagation, as I said, you can get propagation via seeds, via transplants, or sets. With seeds, your seeds should be sown, 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch deep. We are looking in the soil. We are already in the soil. Picture me in the soil in your garden. So you're planting them at least 1 inch deep. Try not to go below that. Don't say I just drop the seeds in ground. There's a practice, there's a technique to everything. And you want to master these techniques because you're looking for good yields, good money. All right? So you want to do this 1 inch deep. If you go further, it will actually impede, or you will have problems with your bulbs in the end. So you want not to have that. Even if you plant 1 inch for this one, a little bit further for that one, a little bit higher for the next one, you won't have uniformity in your crops, so your harvest will be a little bit different. Okay? So allow at least 10 to 13 centimeters between plants, and 30 to 45 centimeters or 12 to 18 inches between the actual row. And as I told you, on a bed, you will be hopefully planting at least up to 5 rows. Once your bed has been made properly, up to 5 rows on your bed. In terms of transplants are, for those who might not understand, where you put your plant in the nursery, your seeds in the nursery, and basically either put them in a tray or an established area. When I say nursery, we're talking babies. Put them in an established area where they can actually come up under proper supervision. Okay? And then you replant them out into the actual area you want to plant them. In the field, for example, you replant them out. So your transplants are best produced in trays by planting 2 seeds per cell. Okay? Once the seeds have germinated, the seedlings should be tinned to 1 plant per seed. When I say tinned, for those who might not be aware, tinning is basically when you separate them, where you select the one that looks more beautiful than the other one. More stronger, it has more strength, it can grow better. All right, so you separate them, and transplants are ready to be planted when the root system has developed sufficiently to bind the soil. So you're looking, once you pull up your seedling, your roots, you should have a good root ball. You should see roots all around there, in other words. Transplants should be spaced 10 to 13 centimeters, allowing 30 to 45 or 12 to 18 inches between the rows. So it's basically the same as if you have planted the seeds. All right? When planting, as I said, the same thing, 5 rows per bed. Right, this is the alternative to transplanting. As I said, if you don't have a nursery, because we're not looking at anything too expensive, I don't want to deter anybody in terms of how they go ahead and plant. If you don't have a nursery, you select an area in your field, a little section that you can throw stones around it or raise it up or whatever the case is, but block it off. And you put your seeds in that section. It requires more or less the same thing. It has to be a closed off area in the field. Prepare the soil to a fine tilth. The tractor is not going to get in there, so you have to do this sort of manually. Compost the same thing so that you get a nice fine soil. You can make slightly raised beds, and in this case too, you can apply your fertilizer or compost before you actually plant. Obviously, if we are applying our fertilizer and compost, you need to have this done well before you actually plant. So the same thing applies around 2 weeks or so everything can start breaking out and meshing in and combining so you can have a proper planting area. Your bed should be treated with insecticide and watered thoroughly. Watering also helps to weather the mud or the stones, so you actually have it broken down to a fine tilth. Fine tilth, anybody has any issues with that? Fine tilth meaning fine particles, okay? So your roots can get through. The seed plant, you can plant the seed at a depth of 0.25 centimeters, not very deep, with a spacing of 4 inches. Because this is not in the field, so you can plant them a little bit closer than how you would have done in your field. You're not, in this area, you're nursing to get seedlings, not to get bulbs as yet, right? And you can cover and water the seeds. To improve germination and to encourage rapid growth cover, I encourage people to have a nice shaded area, all right? So you can use a shade netting of 50%. That's how dark it should be, 50%, which means the sun is still going to be able to penetrate, and supported above 1 meter above the actual bed. All right. Once you've established that, you can remove the shade once the seedlings have reached approximately 6 inches tall, and then you can allow them to harden off. Hardening off meaning allow them to acclimatize to the actual environment. All right. In certain practices, this is something you can try for yourself. In certain practices, some people like to trim the roots or the stem. And you can actually trim the stem, when I say the stem, the leaves, sorry, the tops, till approximately 3 inches high. And what this does is this encouraging more nutrients to come to your roots and forces new leaves all the time, new leaf growth all the time. And it keeps the plants erect when you're transplanting them, and it also protects them against the wind. Now, once again, when we look at the structure, when you think about your onion, you're thinking about leaves. So if you're cutting it back, just like you're here, okay, you're cutting it back, is it always going to be saying, well, why she cut me for? I gotta go and make more leaves. What are we looking for when we look for onions? We're looking for bulbs and the size of the bulb. The size of the bulb is what? A leaf. So each time we cut it back, we force it to grow leaves, we're encouraging it now to compact once again the onion, the bulb. You understand?